So today we're going to do a career video about Luis Robles, who a couple of weeks ago have officially announced his retirement. And I remember when I heard that he officially announced his retirement, I was actually a little bit surprised, considering the fact that, even though he's going to be 37 heading into next season, and next season is going to be his 15th year as a professional goalkeeper, I thought he could have at least had 2 or 3 more years left in the tank before he even think about retirement. And knowing the fact that goalkeeper is a position that you tend to have a much more longevity of your career compared to outfield player, and you also see a lot of goalkeeper nowadays, they can continue to play into their late 30s or even into their early 40s and still be at the top of the game. I thought that was probably going to be the same case with Robles, and that, he didn't really suffer any dramatic decline that really kind of maybe made him think about retirement, and that he was still at the top of the game even when he came to Inter Miami, where he was once again a very decent goalkeeper. But I guess maybe the reason why he decided to think about retirement is the fact that he did suffer that season-ending injury where he of course broke his arm, and usually when you try to recover a broken arm as a goalkeeper, that is a very tough injury to come back, especially for a goalkeeper. And knowing the fact that Robles throughout his career, he hasn't really suffered a lot of big injury, and that was really his first big injury that he suffered. I feel like he didn't want to have to go through the pain and go through the rehab to try to come back and continue to pretty much seize out his career. But that being said, let us go all the way back to 2003, where he actually started his career playing for his college team, the Portland Pilots, and he actually split time with playing with the Boulder Rapids Reserve, who were at that time playing in the PDL, which today is known as the USL League 2. And during those time where he played for both of these teams for 3 years, he racked up 105 appearances. And by the time he was actually graduated from Portland University, he actually became the all-time leaders in terms of save in school history, and that definitely caught some eye in terms of a couple of MLS teams that decided to draft him in the 2007 Super Draft, and DC United was that team that decided to draft him in the 2007 Super Draft. But Luis Robles basically said that, no, I'm not going to go to MLS, but instead I'm actually going to take the leap of faith and decided to start my professional career in Europe. And I guess this leap of faith was more of kind of an ambition, knowing the fact that back then a lot of the US men's national team player was playing in Europe, and knowing the fact that Robles, if he wants to break into the national team and maybe potentially challenge Tim Howard, or even potentially be the heir of Tim Howard's job in terms of that starting goalkeeping role, he need to of course play in Europe instead of playing in MLS. So he decided to do what pretty much a lot of young Americans did back then, and also so pretty much right now, and that is decided to start their career in Europe, and specifically start their career in Germany. So he decided to join Kaiserslautern, and he actually didn't play for the main team in his first season. Actually started with the reserve team, who were playing in the 4th tier of German soccer. And during his first couple of months, he was able to rack up 7 appearances, conceded 13 goals, 1 shutout, and play 630 minutes. Before the latter part of the season, he was able to start 8 games, conceded 5 goals, had 3 shutout, and 720 minutes. And that definitely seems like it caught the eye of the main team, and it feels like it was enough for him to get promoted to the senior team. But however, despite the fact that he got promoted to the senior team, he didn't make any appearance at all during his first season with the main team, Kaiserslautern, and he didn't get a chance until the very next season, where this is where we thought that he kind of had a breakout season in Europe, where he was able to start 20 games, conceded 27 goals, and had 7 shutout and play 1,754 minutes. But however, the very next year, he only made 1 appearance and conceded 2 goals, didn't register a single shutout, and only played 90 minutes. And also, this was the year when Kaiserslautern was able to be promoted to the Bundesliga, and knowing the fact that Robles was already kind of a backup and wasn't getting minutes with the team, he felt like he probably need to move on to another team, because there was just no way he was going to get minutes with Kaiserslautern in the Bundesliga, and that the only way for him to get more minutes is probably find another team in the 2nd division of the Bundesliga, and that team was Karlsruhe, who he joined in the beginning of the 2010-2011 season. And during that season, once again, he looked like he had a bit of a breakout year with 23 starts, 44 goals conceded, 4 shutout registered, and 2,014 minutes. But just like when we thought that he had that breakout year in the 08-09 season with Kaiserslautern, the very next year was once again bleak for Robles, and kind of got himself relegated back onto the bench duty, as in the very next year he only appeared 5 times and scored or conceded 13 goals and didn't register a single shutout, and only played 380 minutes. And that was kind of enough for him to probably think that this European gig was definitely not working out, and his European adventure probably was going to come to an end, and that he's probably going to have to do what many Americans, when they don't usually have their career in Europe, work out, and that is they have to go back to MLS. And indeed, in the summer of 2012, he was picked up by the New York Red Bulls in the allocation order. Fun fact for you guys: originally, when Robles came back to MLS, he was actually originally got an offer from the Vancouver Whitecaps saying that they want him to play for the team, but unfortunately that offer kind of fell through. And because that offer kind of fell through, and really that was kind of maybe the lowest point of Luis Robles' career, with the way that, you know, now he's pretty much going to be out of the job and not even get a chance for coming back to MLS. He was actually even thinking about retirement, and even started to work in a full-time job, but obviously the Red Bulls decided to offer him a chance, and as I said, they were able to pick him up in the allocation order during that summer of 2012. But he didn't make a single appearance for the Red Bulls until the latter part of the season, when Ryan Mayer, the starting goalkeeper for the Red Bulls back then, which, believe it or not, Ryan Mayer was the starting goalkeeper back then in 2012, and it's kind of amazing how Mayer is still with the Red Bulls all this year, because you don't usually see a lot of goalkeeper that maybe they used to be a starter, but they got relegated into being the backup, as he pretty much was throughout all this season behind Luis Robles, that he decided to just stay with the team. But that was the case for Ryan Mayer, and I believe that was also the first season that Ryan Mayer started for the Red Bulls. But unfortunately he got injured, which Luis Robles basically replaced him, and he actually started well in terms of his first couple of games in replacing Mayer. Was able to start 4 games, only conceded 3 goals and registered 2 assists in 360 minutes. And that when the Red Bulls did make it to the playoffs, Robles continued to be a very good goalkeeper, and that was kind of enough for the Red Bulls to kind of convince that they should give this Robles guys a chance to be the starters heading into next season. And when they decided to make that decision, they definitely will think that was probably one of the smartest decisions that they have made, and the rest was pretty much history after when Robles got the starting role for this Red Bulls team. Because when he actually stepped in to be the starting goalkeeper for this team, nobody would have knew that this was the beginning where he would go 160 plus consecutive games without missing a single start for the New York Red Bulls. Because the very next year he would start all the games, conceded 41 goals and had 11 shutout, and played 3,060 minutes. The very next year he would once again start all the games, but this time he did kind of had a little bit of a down year, conceding 50 goals and only registered 6 shutout and played 3,060 minutes. But then the very next year he was able to rebound himself by starting again all the game and conceding 43 goals and have 9 shutout and play 3,060 minutes. And that was enough for him to win the MLS Goalkeeper of the Year, which, you know, it's kind of surprised that was really the only year that he won the Goalkeeper of the Year, because I feel like there were a couple of seasons where he could have definitely won the Goalkeeper of the Year. And there was actually one season I feel like he kind of got snubbed in terms of that award. But in 2016, once again, he started all the games, conceded 44 goals and registered 11 shutout and had 3,060 minutes. This would be first of 3 consecutive years where he would registered double-digit shutout. Then in 2017, he started once again all the games and had conceded 47 goals and had 10 shutout and registered 3,060 minutes. Before we get into 2018, where I believe this was probably the best year for Luis Robles with the New York Red Bulls, and as I mentioned of how he had that 1 year, I feel like he really got snubbed in terms of being the goalkeeper of the year. This was the year that I feel like he got snubbed of this award, because he, despite the fact that his streak of playing 160 games in a row and being the starting 11 for this Red Bulls team, and that many people said that he is pretty much like the Iron Man of MLS by playing so many consecutive games, kind of came to an end. He still was able to rack up 31 appearances, only conceded 30 goals, which was the fewest in his career by being a full-time starter, and was able to register 14 shutout, which was the most in his career, and played 2,790 minutes. Like, all those numbers were definitely career best number, and the fact that the only thing that he kind of had to show for was winning the Supporters Shield, which was actually his final Supporters Shield that he won for the Red Bulls, is kind of a little bit surprising. The fact that he didn't even get an individual award of being the goalkeeper of the year, and he was also part of that team that, as I mentioned, winning the Supporters Shield, but also that team that at that time registered the most points any MLS team has ever done in the regular season. Now, the very next year, he kind of had a little bit of a down year again, with him starting all but one game and conceded 50 goals and had 9 shutout and had 2,970 minutes. And they thought that, maybe this was kind of a start of a decline for Luis Robles, and that maybe they should think about moving on from him. So that's why the Red Bulls decided that they pretty much not renew him to a new contract, and that he was pretty much now in the free agency market. But as I said back in last off season, I thought Robles was probably one of the biggest piece in the free agency market, and I won't be surprised that he was going to be on the free agency market a lot, and that the team is eventually going to pick him up. Well, that team that eventually picked him up is the expansion team, Inter Miami, where he of course joined this team during the inaugural season. And during his inaugural season, he was able to start 15 games, conceded 25 goals, registering 2 shutout and 1,350 minutes. The number is, it's not that good, but that being said, I thought at the time, during the times where he was with Inter Miami, there's been a couple of times where he was able to continue to look to be that consistent goalkeeper throughout all his year with the Red Bulls. And also, this was the year that unfortunately, right in the middle of the season, he suffered that broken arm that kept him out for the rest of the season. And little do we know that was kind of pretty much the final straw before his career eventually come to an end. And by the way, I also said that he got traded to Inter Miami. That actually is not true. He actually got signed off of free agency by Inter Miami, and yeah, just kind of ignored the fact that on the notes part I put he got traded to the team when he actually just signed off of free agency by Inter Miami. But overall, in terms of his total those stats more and his career stats, he was able to register 362 appearances, conceded 483 goals, and registered 107 shutout, and played 32,568 minutes. Those numbers are definitely amazing number, and that, I mentioned before where Robles was one of the guys that I feel like he was a snub in terms of being on the list of the 25 greatest player of all time in MLS. I mean, I get that he pretty much spent half of his career in Europe and only his second half of his career in MLS, but we see players on that list that basically not even spent half of their career, but spent majority of their career in Europe and only played like a couple of years in MLS, and yet they still end up to be on the list of the 25 greatest MLS players. And I also said back in my News of the Week episode a couple weeks ago, I feel like if he was going to be staying in MLS and he decided to not go to Europe and decided to just play for DC United, I think he could have really challenged Nick Rimando in terms of the all-time appearance by a goalkeeper or any player in MLS history, because as I mentioned, these number where he had that 160 plus consecutive start, and the fact that just like Kyle Beckerman that I talked about in the last career video, he was another guy that throughout his entire career he was very fortunate to not suffer a major injury until just recently, which eventually sadly it was kind of a injury that kind of maybe forced him to decide to retire. But yeah, overall, what a career it's been for Luis Robles. And now, you know, as his career is finished, it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do. I won't be surprised if he decided to take a head coaching role, or maybe a coaching role either for the Red Bulls or another team in MLS, or even in other leagues, because Robles, another thing that makes him very good with the Red Bulls was not only the fact that he was the captain of that team for a very long time, but he was also the leader of that Red Bulls team, and he basically guided this team to multiple years with success, being into the playoffs and also winning those support ratio. And I won't be surprised in a couple of years we could see Robles potentially be in a coaching road somewhere. And that I also won't be surprised if he decided to maybe even think about coming out of retirement and playing in the lower leagues, and kind of go with the Tim Howard kind of route, where you remember how Tim Howard said that he decided to retire from MLS a couple of years ago, only to basically came out of retirement and play in the lower leagues. So you never know. Maybe Robles decided to come out of retirement and play in the lower leagues, or even in the USL Championship. But we shall see whether or not if that is going to be the case. And that, again, I feel like his career, you know, it wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. And for a guy that hasn't been suffering any injuries in his career, I thought it was definitely a little bit shorter than I anticipated that his career is going to be, which hence that's why I won't be surprised that he decided to maybe even rethink about coming out of retirement and maybe play another couple of years before he actually properly hang up his boots in his professional career. But there you have it. That is pretty much my video of doing the career video of Luis Robles. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video, and you know, let me know also in the comments below what's your favorite moment of Luis Robles, and especially if you're a Red Bulls fan, you probably have a lot of favorite memory of Luis Robles and the leader that he is with that team all this year that he's been with the Red Bulls for pretty much 7 seasons. But let me know in the comments below what do you think of this video, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.